does anybody know what an inequality is? Anybody? Anybody? Nobody? You guys have all done this before. You guys probably called it something else. Do you guys remember what you called it?
The little mouth.
The little mouth. What kind of mouth? Whose mouth was it?
Alligator.
The alligator, right? So what was the rule with the alligator?
It's the bigger number.
It does what?
It's the bigger number.
Okay, so the alligator, some of you, I know you probably drew teeth on it when you were... Some of you guys draw teeth on it, but the alligator eats the bigger number, right?
Yeah.
So, give me an example then, right now for this one. What would make this work right here? 5 and 3? Are you sure? Okay, so 5 over here, and then 3. Now, how would I read that?
3 is less than
3 is less than. So this thing really here, what does that really mean? What does this alone mean?
Either less than or greater than.
It means less than, okay? But you guys all did this before. So the rule is that the alligator eats the bigger number and points at or laughs at the smaller number, because it's little, okay? So you guys have all done this before. Is there any other times you guys remember dealing with inequalities besides the alligator? Anything other tricks you guys might remember? No? Any real life examples when there might be some things that were like inequalities?
Casey is less than.
Casey is less than you, so Casey can bench press less weight than me. I don't know. Okay, that's close. Yeah, so that could be Casey is less than me in weight, something like that, or Dimitri is greater than me in weight, or something like that. You guys are all wrestlers, so that makes sense. But that's exactly what it is. What is the what does this word actually mean? Inequality.
Unequal.
Unequal. Okay? So I want you guys to get out your piece of paper. We're going to talk about some vocabulary words that are going to be essential for you guys to understand if we're going to learn how to solve inequalities. So get your paper out. Get ready. I got a little PowerPoint for you. Okay. All right. So these are, today we're dealing with inequalities, meaning unequal. Will, can you get the next slide for me?
Sure, Mr. H.
All right. So inequalities are anything that is in or unequal. All right. That means inequalities will never use the, there you go, the equal. Thanks, Gabriel. The equal sign. All right. So basically, up until most math that you deal with always has an equal sign. This includes everything else. All right. There's going to be no equal sign here. You're comparing numbers that are not equal. Can I get the next slide? All right, so the first symbol we got to deal with is the alligator going to the left, all right, which is greater than. Any symbol that is pointed with the open side towards the left will always be greater than. So on your paper, what I want you guys to do is I want you to write down whichever one of these different representations makes the most sense to you. Okay, so if you like words, then you might want to write it here. If you like a mixture and you just need to see what the symbol equals, write it there. If you want an actual representation, write it there. Because 6 is greater than 4. Okay? So do that now. So is this making sense to you guys so far? Does it make sense? You guys think you're going to be able to do this?
Yes.
All right, cool. Cool. Okay? So this is greater than.
What if I still don't get why, what if the number that was bigger was still on the other side?
Okay, so say you have
so
4 and 6.
Greater than it's always on that side, but if you turn
like that?
Side, yeah.
Or
okay, then you turn the thing.
The sign?
Okay, but then it says that that's not greater than.
Yeah, it is. It says 4 is less than 6.
Okay, but you said greater than is always that side.
It's not greater than anymore. It's less than. You're looking at...
4 is less.
Exactly. Okay, so it still works. It still works. If you flip it one side, just like in algebra, okay, if we want to switch things around, you got to do it on both sides, right? Okay, just like we did recently, this is the same type of thing. So if I want to move this over and I feel more comfortable with the 6 on this side, Joey, I can subtract 6. Okay? And then I just have to subtract 6 over here. Alright? Now it'll be 0 is greater than negative 2. Alright? Well, now if I want to put the 4 back over, I got to subtract 4. Subtract 4. Now I'll have negative, yeah, it'll work out. Alright, so moving on. Okay, so that's greater than. Okay, next, obviously, our progression, Mr. Will, can you get the next slide for me? All right, less than, okay? Less than. It's always going to be pointing towards the small end will always be pointing to the left on less than, okay? So write down whatever one makes the most sense to you. Alright? If you guys have to draw an alligator or do whatever you got to do to make it make sense, that's what I want. Alright? I want it to make sense to you. Okay, you guys got it? Making sense? Cool. Will, can you get the next slide for me? Alright, now this one, some of you guys might not have dealt with before. Okay, this one is just like the greater than, however, there's this little line underneath it. I like to think about it as half of an equal sign. So what it literally means is greater than or equal to, meaning the number, whatever it may be. Oftentimes when you use this, it's going to be a variable. Okay, so you guys all remember what variable means, right? Somebody tell me what variable means. Anybody? It's a letter that can be, is it a fixed number? Can it only be one number, or can it be any number? It can be any number, okay? So let's just say whatever this number is, our variable, can be any number greater than 4, or, because we have this half equal sign, equal to 4. So it can be 4 or anything above 4, okay? So write that down, whatever makes most sense to you. Okay? Alright, Will, can I get the next slide? Okay, so does this make sense, this half equals thing? Does that make sense, how it's different than this alone? Okay? So in this problem, let's say, I'm just going to give you guys a little test here. In this problem, what's the difference between when I do this and when I do this? What's the only difference? For what x can be?
X could be 4.
X can be 4 with the line, and without the line?
No.
It cannot be 4. Okay, very good. Alright, so write down whatever makes the most sense for you. So this is less than or equal to. Okay? Less than or equal to. Okay, you guys all got that? Okay, good. Will, can I get the next slide? Alright. This is the only other thing that we're going to actually be seeing today is the not equal sign. Okay, this is pretty self-explanatory, just like a no smoking or a no U-turn sign. It has an equal sign and a line through it, meaning not equal. So, for this one, what does this literally mean? Somebody tell me what that means. What's not 4?
The variable.
X is not 4, so what can X be?
Anything else?
Anything but 4, okay? Okay, well, can you get the next slide? I think that might be it. Okay, cool. Alright, so you guys get all those things? You understand all those words? Okay? So those are the words we're going to be using today to solve inequalities. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little piece up here for you guys to help you, just in case you guys forget or you took crappy notes, Dimitri, which I know you do sometimes. Okay. All right. Okay. So there's some other words that you guys need to make sure you know. These are all words from what we've been doing before. Okay, like the word reciprocal. All right. Do you guys remember what reciprocal means?
The bottom number.
It means what?
Like the bottom number. Flip it or reciprocal, so it's like
Kinda, exactly. So we've been doing stuff. Let's see here. We've been doing. So let's do this one right here. Okay. So I'm going to write up the kind of equations we've been doing last week. Okay. You guys are all familiar with these ones. X plus 3 equals 2. Okay. Real quick. Is this an inequality?
No.
Why not?
There's an equal.
Because there's an equal sign. Very good, Casey. There's an equal sign. Cannot be an inequality. This is an equation, an algebraic equation. We've been doing these all week. Okay? So, finding the reciprocal means taking your operation and doing the opposite. So what would the reciprocal of plus 3 be? Minus 3. So when we need to solve algebraic equations, the object is to get the variable where?
By itself.
By itself. Okay, and so to do that, we need to find the reciprocal of these numbers to take them away. So as Casey said, for this plus 3, it's going to be minus 3. Now whatever we do on one side, got to do it on the other, right? So we do minus 3 over here. All right? And what do we get as our answer?
X equals -1.
X equals -1. You're good. I'm proud of you. Okay? Good. All right? Very good. Now, this is the same thing with inequalities. The only difference is, instead of, well, there's two differences. We use these signs. Okay? So X is, let's just say, what it doesn't matter, greater. We just use these signs, and they stay true all the way down, except for one special case, which I'll tell you guys about later. So right now, we're just going to practice some of these. I want you guys to take notes as I demonstrate them for you, so you guys can see just exactly, get a little bit more practice and see how we're going to solve these things. And there's one thing else that's different, is we're going to have to graph these. Okay? Now, you guys are familiar with the number line, so for this one, if I have X is greater than -1, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw my number line. I got 0, I got 1, I got -1, all right? And then, what is this inequality read, Dimitri?
X is less than
No.
-1. What?
Close. X is
greater than
greater than -1. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a circle right where where the -1 is, and since X is greater than -1, I'm going to draw an arrow this way. Okay. So what this means is that X cannot be -1, but it can be anything after -1 or above -1. So it can be -0.99 or greater, okay, or even less. Anything that is greater than -1. Okay, and as you see up here, I also showed you guys. Anytime you have this sign, the arrow, as long as is going to be going in the same direction. Okay, anytime you have a greater than, it's going to be going that way. Anytime you have a less than, it's going to be going that way. Okay. All right, so this is the first one. So I'll just put this up here for you guys. Okay. Stay. All right. Okay. Next. So this is with addition. So the reciprocal for addition is subtraction. All right. Very good. You guys know that stuff. Okay. Next, we're going to do a subtraction inequality. 2 minus x is greater than 0. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is try and isolate my variable. Okay? So I have, plus 2 would be good, but I only got a 0 over here. It means I have nothing over here, really. So I might as well take my variable over here. And then that'll make it easier. Because right now it's a negative variable, and, you guys know I don't like having negative variables, it bugs me. So I'm going to just add this variable to both sides, okay? So now I'm finding the reciprocal of this variable is just plus x, okay? So I can cancel these out, and now I have 2 is greater than x, all right? Now, some of you guys aren't going to have, will have no problem understanding when, your x is over on this right side. But I always like having the x on the left side. So somebody read this to me real quick. Joey, why don't you read this to me?
2 is greater than x.
2 is greater than x. Okay? So if I just flip this over, does it still make sense? X is... So say it again.
X is less than 2.
X is less than 2. 2 is greater than x. Are those equal?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So those both make sense. So anytime you're flipping the problem, you got to flip your sign. Okay? So don't forget that. All right? So when I graph this, I'm going to put right here, I got 0, got my 1, I got my 2. Okay, I'm going to circle it. Now, which way is my line going to go now?
Or which one?
It's for this bottom one. I like it. Remember, I like it when the variable's on the
left.
To the left?
It goes to the right, right?
Goes to the left. Look up here. Got it right here. So less than is always going this way. Okay? The reason is we can't say 2 is greater than x necessarily as clearly as we can